All right, we want to talk now a little bit about the issues surrounding financial regulation and the Fed. No doubt some things that will be discussed at the G20 as well. Republican Congressman Ron Paul this week will hold a hearing on his own bill to audit the Fed, of which he is a longtime critic. Congressman Paul joins us now from Capitol Hill. Thank you so much. Let me start by asking you, if you had your way, we would have no Fed at all. And people asked me when I say I'm going to have you on, what would we have done without the Fed during this financial crisis? We did at least see them sort of stop the end of the world.
Well, the neat thing is we wouldn't have had the crisis if we had not had the Fed. The Fed created the conditions for the necessary correction, which is the crisis that we've had. So you can't just say get rid of the Fed, in the middle of it all. But this pretense or this belief that the Fed saves us from these things, these problems, is fallacious. They create them. Every recession we've had has been a consequence of the inflation of the Federal Reserve. The Federal Reserve participates in central economic planning and price fixing. They try to fix the price of interest rates, and they try to plan the economy in this manner. So ever since 1913, they have given us nothing but grief. They inflate for the wars. They give us depressions. They give us the inflation. They've destroyed 96% of the value of our dollar. So I don't know how anybody can come up with the belief that they get us out of trouble and that we should give them more power. That doesn't make any sense.
Congressman Paul, with all due respect, it wasn't the Fed making those trades, though, in credit default swaps or leveraging their company. Take AIG, take your financial firm. I mean, the financial executives are to blame as well. I think you're putting too much emphasis on the Fed. What about the financial industry?
Well, you have to have easy credit to do that. If we went by savings in a free market, the only way you get capital is from savings. But we have had no savings for decades. But the so-called capital comes from the credit that is created by the Federal Reserve. So if you generate undue amounts of easy credit to go into the housing market, people are going to start gambling. It's like a casino. But it starts by the origination of easy credit, creating money out of thin air and financing all these deficits
But there was also a real push from Washington overall that everyone should have the right to own a house. That didn't just come from the Fed.
Yeah, but that was bad. So the people who promoted CRA and all these promotions to push these loans on the banks, it's a contributing factor. But they worked in collusion. The people in the Congress that wanted a house for everybody pushed it, and they got it financed by the Fed. It's not one or the other. But if you don't have a central bank to satisfy the politicians, they say, they don't want to investigate it because they don't want it politicized. Well, they're politicized all the time because they're always satisfying the politicians, whether it's the president for a boom period of time when the chairman is up for re-election or reappointment, or whether it's to finance a war or finance the welfare state. It's all politicized. So the Federal Reserve is there to accommodate the politicians. And without a central bank, the politicians would have to get the money from the people. They would have to tax us. They could borrow, unfortunately, to a degree, but there's a limit to borrowing. So all of a sudden, we wouldn't be trying to police the world. We wouldn't be bailing out these companies that don't deserve to be bailed out. Without the Fed, we would have had early bankruptcy. General Motors would have gone bankrupt very soon, and the bad debt and bad investments would have been wiped off the books.
Let me ask you, is there any existing evidence of what the currency would look like without a central bank? I mean, all currencies have lost the same amount of value since 1933.
Except the one market currency, the
gold.
one that is in my reserve account. Gold, you're right. Gold has been around as a currency for 6,000 years, and it always appreciates when central banks print money and create credit. I got interested in this when gold was $35 an ounce. Not a bad protection insurance, to invest in and look at protecting the value of what you own, because we steadily erode the value of the dollar, and we're continuing to do it. Who would have ever said 10 years ago that gold prices would triple, which means the value of the dollar shrunk, that degree.
You probably could have given us that prediction as well. Congressman Ron Paul, thank you so much for joining us. We're going to take a quick break.